Hello, hi everyone. A warm welcome to all of you. I am Sonali Shilar, Process Coordinator at AD Wealth, wherein we specialize in building passive income and wealth management strategies for business owners, doctors, and professionals. In the last 33 years, we have helped 4,500 families across 17 countries achieve their wealth creation goal worth rupees 1,400 crores through us. So, everyone, we all love the idea of being wealthy or rich, isn't it? While being rich gives you comfort, luxury, and a materialistic lifestyle, being wealthy helps you attain a state of abundance where there is practically no place for any money related worries. That sounds more satisfying, right? So, we all know the first step to being wealthy is to create it. But the $1,000,000 question is how? Especially when there is so much information around you. And within them are lies which get repeated again and again till we end up believing it. One such lie is the possibility of getting your money doubled in 25 days. The quintessential Bollywood line, 25 din mein paisa double. Remember that? All this makes me think, how many more lies are out there when it comes to wealth creation? Am I making it? Am I doing something which I shouldn't? Luckily, we have with us today Mr. Nikhil Naik, who is going to help us address these lies. And to make this session more interactive, we have our, and I'm not kidding when I say this, a human encyclopedia, Mr. Ninad Monkar. He heads the learning and development at AD Naik Group and has 17 years of experience in the financial service industry. And he's also a certified financial planner by qualification. Now, before I hand over the floor to them, let me take a moment to introduce Mr. Nikhil Naik. Mr. Nikhil Naik is an ardent student of Warren Buffett who has been featured countless times on television and print media. He has addressed over 12,000 individuals through various investor education initiatives, an entrepreneur for the last 25 years. And most importantly, Mr. Nikhil Naik is a foodie, a motorhead, and a people's person. Let's welcome Mr. Nikhil Naik and Ninad Monkar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonali.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we start this webinar, let me take a moment to just set the context. Taking a cue from what Sonali just said, we all know that we are all bombarded with a lot of information. Each of this information talks about how to be wealthy or the surefire way of becoming wealthy. Now, it is not only important to know what to do, but it is equally important to know what not to do. And that is what we are going to address today, what not to do. Now, before we start this discussion, and I can see a lot of you have already joined in, may I check with you how many of you want to be wealthy? Now, may I request my colleague Alvina to share the first poll here, please? Now, guys, I request all of you to take this poll. देखिए, अगर हम लोग ऑफलाइन सेशन में होते हैं ना, और ये पोल अगर आपके पास आ जाता, अगर ये सवाल मैं आपको पूछ लेता और आपको मैं ये कहता कि आप इसका जवाब दीजिए, I would have asked all of you to raise your hands and you would have all done that, But हम लोग ऑनलाइन सेशन में है, ऑनलाइन मोड पे है, तो the best way to interact with each other is through this medium. So humble request to all of you to please take this poll. How many of you really, really, really want to be wealthy? You can see the poll on your screen. Right? I hope all of you are taking this poll. Great. Now, Alvina, shall you just stop the poll? Shall we move on? Great. 97% of you are saying that you really, really want to be wealthy, right? Fantastic. That's an amazing number, right? I'm just sharing the results so for all of you to see. 97% of you want to know how to be wealthy, and yes, you want to be wealthy. Now, moving on to this session, right? Nikhil sir, Are you all set?
Yeah, all set, Ninad. Hopefully, yes. I mean, always a pleasure to be with our investors, our friends, and always a pleasure to be with our colleagues.
So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take liberty to ask some tough questions to you. And I hope you will be candid in sharing your experience.
no, you always ask me tough questions. So whether on the webinar or in the office, so I'm kind of used to it, Ninad, and so is everybody. So
ठीक है, चलो जो शुरुआत करते हैं हमारे पहले क्वेश्चंस के. So the very first question that I have in mind, when we talk about creating wealth, we all know that money is the raw material to create wealth. बट अगर किसी के पास पैसा ही नहीं है और उसको धनवान बनना है तो कैसे बनना चाहिए? क्या पैसा जरूरी है धनवान बनने के लिए? Now you have worked with over 4,000 families. A humble request if you can share your experience to this very first question.
sure. Can I just take a minute to thank each one of the investors for being part of this, and then maybe come back to this question. So today we'll talk about the lies, obviously, and we'll also talk about the wealth creation, the only thing that you really need for wealth creation, in my mind. And Ninad, as we all have to ensure that the disclaimer, and we will talk about some schemes, maybe we'll not talk about some schemes, but these schemes are not definitely going to be any recommendations. These are only going to be for the illustration purpose. So I want to thank each one of them on behalf of Ninad, on behalf of Amaya, Sonali, and all of us here on the call today, on behalf of all my team members. Uh, it's just great pleasure to be part of this business. Great to be part with travel the journey with all the investors of wealth creation and of managing their money. We've learned so many things, and like you said, we've met so many investors. Today I'm happy to share that we have investors across 17 countries, and of course we've had some awards, but I think what's more rewarding is these families that we manage. And so lies, coming back to the lies, Ninad, and the lies are very comforting. And why do people, there are lies that people have been told, all of us have been told in the financial industry, and the reason is probably they're very comforting for us, and nobody wants to listen to the unpleasant truth, and it is not convenient for many of the professionals or people in the finance industry to tell you these unpleasant truth. They are inconvenient. So that's where the thought that creating these lies, talking about lies, that I thought we should definitely address some of these lies with our investors. So your question, Ninad.
So my question, sir, is, at the end of the day, we all know that money is the raw material to create wealth. That is what we strongly believe in. लेकिन बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग होंगे जिनके पास वो पैसा ही नहीं है. धनवान बनना है, as you can see in the polls, 97% wants to be wealthy, but people do not have the money to be wealthy. So क्या पैसा जरूरी है धनवान बनने के लिए? If I really want to be wealthy, is money the raw material that I really need to be wealthy?
Yeah, absolutely, Nina. When I started my career, I always thought, यार इनके पास तो पैसा है, इसके पास पैसा है, मेरे friend के पास पैसा है. So for becoming rich, you definitely need money, is what I always thought. Or you definitely need income rather. वो पैसा कमाऊंगा तो मैं पैसा बनाऊंगा, and I'll be able to save money or create more money. This is what I also thought in the beginning of my career. But then, I've been lucky. We've all been lucky to work with some of the finest individuals. Whether they had money, whether they didn't have money, but they had enormous amount of learning for all of us. So I'll give you another. This gentleman is a friend of mine, and I always thought income is equal to wealth, and this was probably the lie was that we all carried in our mind. We always carried this truth, or rather this was our truth. But actually, if I'll give you a case where this gentleman, a friend of mine, earns about 12 lakh rupees or so. And I mean, today, if you see, obviously having 2 lakh rupees a lakh of rupee per month is not a great income. But I have seen him actually saving money day in, day out, every day. He's actually been extremely prudent when it came to his expenses. Today, as I can see, as you all can see, these are some of the live portfolios. He's actually saved more than 1.26 crores. He had to give money in between, and you can see that the dip for a while, but then today's value of his portfolio stands at 2.81 crores. As against, there is another gentleman whose income is 48 lakh rupees. And if you see, he's just saved about 38 lakh rupees over last since 2008. I mean, 2011, 12 is the time he started saving. But as you can see, he's not been able to save enough money. And that's where I think income is not equal to wealth. What you do with your money, how much money you save, how much money you invest actually makes the difference. Yeah.
सर अभी आपने सेविंग्स की बात की है, यू जस्ट शेयर्ड अक्रॉस दैट इनकम इजंट सिनोनिमस विद वेल्थ, लेकिन आपने सेविंग्स की बात की. सो माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इजंट सेविंग्स इक्वल टू वेल्थ? मतलब we all work hard, right? We all either go to offices, we have our own businesses, we all work hard and we all earn our living and we save our money. India at the end of the day is a land of savers. Now in that case, isn't saving synonymous with wealth?
Absolutely not, Ninad. And I also thought the same, because when I used to meet my investors who would save a lot of money in PPF, I thought that was the way to go. When I started my career with my father, and my father started this business in '89, and I joined him in around 90s or so, 94, 95. I had just finished my 12th, and I used to visit him. And I used to see a lot of people investing in postal savings, PPF, and I thought, yes, that was the way to go. However, I mean, over a period of time, I learned this through my own investments also. So this is the formula that we were discussing. Amount is equal to principal. So what you do with your principal is important. But at the same time, how much money you earn, the R is also extremely important. This is the compounding formula. So saving, I thought, was the formula for wealth, but there is a huge difference in saving and investing. When you are saving money, आप अच्छी कंपनी को, एंड आई एम अज्यूमिंग अच्छी कंपनी को लेंड कर रहे हो, उसको उधार दे रहे हो, वर्सेस व्हेन यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग, आप उसके बिजनेस में, अच्छे कंपनीज के बिजनेस में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो, आप उसके पार्टनर बन रहे हो. And this is what happened to my own portfolio. If I just may show you. Now, I started in a fund called Star Kid. I mean, let's call it as, I mean, this was known as Star Kid, but I started a SIP of 10,000 rupees in 2000, to be precise, 2007 September or so. And when I started investing 2007 में 10,000 रुपए I had thought that I will save this money for next 15 years. And today, as we speak, it has completed 15 years of time period. Now, imagine if I had the blue line, the light blue line, Ninad, shows, sorry, this, the light blue line shows my investment. I had about 2 lakh rupees additional money. So I invested that money in that time twice. So what we tried to do was, we invested this money in PPF also, just for our understanding. I mean, you can't invest more than 1,50,000 a year. But we said, okay, agar maine, and this fund was a blue chip fund, a large cap fund, which means I was investing in large companies. I was becoming a partner of large companies in last 15 years. And दूसरी जगह मैंने ये पैसा उधार दे दिया, let's say, for lend कर दिया government of India को, the highest level of safety. So, and we try to look at what could have happened. And these are real cases. I mean, the portfolio is real in mutual fund. I invested about 22,91,000 as of yesterday. And as we speak, the current value is 61 lakh rupees. If I had invested that money in PPF, the same frequency, same time, the value would have been 45 lakh rupees. इसमें दो चीजें हमको देखनी है, निनाद, that if you look at the 73rd month at the bottom, I wouldn't have made any money. Matlab, it took me 5-6 years not to make any money. And now also during Corona, the green line is the value. The price went below my investment, and I would have probably thought, not my investment, price went below my PPF investment. So now I would have thought that मैंने PPF में invest किया होता तो अच्छा रहता. So for a long time, I didn't do better than PPF, but now, as you can see, the difference is quite stark. The in returns is 12%, and PPF would have been 7.5%. So I think there is a difference between saving and investing. When you are saving, आप उधार दे रहे हो. When you are investing, you are partnering with good companies, partnering with their profitability. Yeah.
But sir, just to go ahead with this that we are talking about, in the very first slide which you showed, you showed a wealth creation formula. Amount is equal to P plus 1 plus R, right? Now, in that formula, at the end of the day, you also showed R, right? That this formula, yeah, वो R is important, right? So, अगर wealth create करना है, तो returns तो चाहिए ही ना, वरना wealth कैसे create होगा?
Absolutely, and that's where you have to always earn little more than the inflation. Otherwise, आपका पैसा will become completely redundant. But I also thought that बहुत ज़्यादा returns is going to make the मतलब you always aspire कि ये होता तो बहुत अच्छा होता, ये होता तो बहुत अच्छा होता, ये दिल मांगे more all the time. And this is what I realized, that I thought that returns are the ultimate thing. And then I came across this fascinating story. See, in trying to chase returns, people end up losing money also. And this is a SEBI data on individual traders. F&O data for the SEBI compared F&O data for financial year 19 and financial year 22. And as you can see, only 11%. The first thing that I thought was very important was FY19, there were 7 lakh individual traders. During COVID, what happened was people were sitting at home, a lot of people were working from home. This, and then the technology revolution also happened big time in the trading space. So the likes of Zerodha to everybody had platforms for online trading. And FY22, there were 45 lakh traders, and a lot of it came from younger crowd. A lot of it came from B-town cities and tier 2, tier 3 cities also. However, one thing which remained common, Ninad, in FY19 and FY22 was this, that only 11% made profits. And in fact, 10 to 51 in 19, 15% made, 20 to 11% made profits. 89% of the people made losses. ठीक है, चलो आप हमेशा ही ऐसा होता है. Stock market is a mechanism where 10% people make 90% people make losses, and those losses accrue as profits to 10% of the people. लेकिन कितना profit हुआ? तो 89% of the individual, and this is all SEBI data, individual traders suffered an average loss of 1.1 lakh. And those 11% who made profits were just average returns was just 1.5 lakh rupees. Now, I want you guys to just एक बार रुक जाइए, take a pause. If you are in a business, just calculate what is the time you are giving to trading, because trading is a full-time activity. Investing is a full-time activity. What is the time you are spending? Is it really worth a lakh of 1,50,000 rupees? That too only 11% will make money. Is it really worth it? Worth your time? Okay, if you're in a job, is it worth sacrificing your family time for this? I mean, I would say that, when we do our investment reviews, we just tell our investor that initially when you start your investment journey, एक बार महीने में review करिए. After that, just do a quarterly or a half yearly review, depending on the complicated nature of your portfolio. That's it. I mean, because you are giving money to your professional fund managers. So I feel that trading or trying to get higher returns is a zero-sum game. Lekin Ninad, there are people, and you are one of the finest individuals and intelligent individuals I have seen, people think that why not I learn and I can also become a finest trader, right? And yes, there are some amazing traders. And I want to ask you, Nina, actually, no, you've been asking a lot of tough questions to me. So I want to ask you, is 22% better or 66% better?
Technically, if I just look at the side, I would say 66%.
Correct. तो मुझे भी हमेशा यही लगता था यार, 66% return is the ultimate thing. And here's a story of two gentlemen. Buffett, now his age is 92. Jim Simons is 84 now. So Jim is regarded as one of the finest traders by Warren Buffett. And he finds that his acumen is just amazing. Jim Simons has made year on year 66% returns, whereas Buffett ka portfolio has generated about 22% returns over a period of time. Now imagine 22% returns versus 66%. Like, what is the net worth? Net worth Buffett is way above $10,000 plus and counting, whereas Jim is $2,500, $2,500 crore dollars. Now, why this difference? Is because Buffett started at the age of 25. People say कि 11 पे चालू किया था, but technically he started at the age of 25, whereas Jim started at the age of 52. And that formula that we discussed, Ninan, is also the same thing, you know, the number of years that you invest. So I do not have the control on I. What I have control on is the principle that I can invest and the number of years that I can remain invested. And that, I think, the ultimate truth of investing.
Right. You just showed across the wealth creation formula. You shared across that you don't need money to create wealth. You don't need income as such to create wealth. We should not focus on R, that is the rate of return, but we should end up focusing on N, that is the number of years, which you just showed. But जैसे आपने कहा ना कि आपने जिम सिमंस के बारे में बताया और अभी वॉरेन बफेट के बारे में बताया, both are super intelligent individuals, you know, both the traits which they have, the acumen that they have, the way they manage their business, they have super intelligence. So my next question to you is that, should I be super intelligent or very intelligent like these guys? Should I have a qualification or a degree, let's say from IIM Ahmedabad or ISB, or should I be a chartered accountant or a CFA for that matters, or some premier institution like these two guys are, you know, to actually create wealth? Is that what is required for me to create wealth?
Yes, I mean, Buffett says that if you have an average IQ and decent patience, you can become a great investor. So let's look at this story. When I say some of the most intelligent people that the mankind has had, what names do you have in mind? आपके मन में कौन से नाम आ जाते हैं? Let's ask this to our panel. Can people chat in the group? Is that possible?
Yeah. We have the chat box open, right?
Yeah. So maybe we can just request others also that tell me some of the finest individuals, most intelligent people we've had, human kind has had in the history, in the past. Yeah.
So anybody, right? You're talking
from anybody.
Like 11th century से अभी तक या 10th century से अभी तक कभी भी, right? So guys, just use all the best of your imagination. Go back in time as much as you can, right? And just come out with names, you know.
Right.
अभी के मत पकड़ो, पीछे के भी पकड़ लो, मतलब since time.
Yeah. I like Arindam Sen's reply, Michael Burry. Yeah, I agree. And in fact, Arindam, I think we should connect sometime. And I was looking at how Michael Burry has done in last few months, last 1 year or so. He's become an outlier. He's really done well. Yeah. So somebody has said Chanakya, somebody has said Einstein. Yeah. So we have a story of Newton this time to share. And may I share the story with Harshad Mehta? Katre Sava. Yeah, he was, when you watch his serial, you definitely think he's one of the most intelligent guys. Yeah. So yeah, we have a story of Newton this time around, and let's look at the story, Ninad.
Okay.
And this is again a real story. So Mark Faber and Jeremy Gantman had shared this story. So there was a company called South Sea, and he started investing some money around 1720 or so. And the prices went up, and he exited very very happily. The problem that happens, and मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ इन्वेस्टमेंट में, आप जिस दिन उस म्यूचुअल फंड में उस स्टॉक में इन्वेस्ट करते हो, द स्टॉक गोज डाउन, द म्यूचुअल फंड गोज डाउन नेक्स्ट डे, और जिस दिन आप एग्जिट करते हो उसके नेक्स्ट डे वो ऊपर जाना चालू हो जाता है. एंड दिस हैपेंड विद न्यूटन आल्सो. द स्टॉक वेंट अप. His friends had heard about this from him, so they had started investing, and they were there. They did not exit. The friends got rich. Then Newton saw this and said, "Yaar, I'm missing out. I can't help it, but I have to invest." And Newton actually re-entered with a lot of money. And obviously, like I said, जब आप invest करते हो, after that the market start crashing, and the stock starts crashing, and the market started falling. And ultimately the stock fell down, where Newton actually exited broke. So this is what happens. This is what, I mean, although Newton had all the intelligence in the world, I'm sure he was one of the wealthiest guys in those days, so he had access to information also. But this is what happened to his investments. So, and uske baad, supposedly he said this, that I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but I can't calculate the madness of people. And he actually, उसने कसम खा ली कि मैं वापस invest नहीं करूंगा. I mean, of course, we are laughing today, but I'm sure it must have been very, very painful for him during those times. And this is what Charlie Munger, partner of Warren Buffett, has said, that a lot of people are high IQs are terrible investors because they have terrible temperaments. So actually investing is about your temperament. Investing is about your controlling your emotions rather than anything else. Yeah. Yeah, Ninad.
Great. So thank you for sharing this story. I was not aware about Isaac Newton having gone through this cycle in his life.
We can do a webinar. We can do a particular show only on this story sometime, and maybe I would encourage you and Amaya to do this at some point of time.
Sure, sir. I would just like to take the question a little aside from the discussion that we had so far about returns, about wealth, and about this. You just spoke about emotions right now. And I would just like to take that as a cue. Now, there are so many Twitter handles and YouTube channels and social media influencers who keep on doling out information on wealth creation, right? आप कभी भी YouTube पे चले जाओ, कोई ना कोई तो है ही जो बताता है कि आपको इन्वेस्ट कैसे करना चाहिए, अगर आपको वेल्दी बनना है तो कैसे बनना है. एंड द बेस्ट पार्ट इज they have simplified that discussion. They try to make it very simple and they present it in a manner. I would say they have somewhere down the line democratized knowledge. Knowledge is no longer the monopoly of a few. What are your thoughts on them? What are your thoughts on these Twitter handles and YouTube channels and social media influencers per se?
Oof. So my friend said this few hundred years ago, and I love this gentleman, Mark Twain. He's just amazing, and it holds so true. उसने न्यूज़पेपर्स के बारे में उस वक्त कहा था that if you don't read the newspapers, you are uninformed. But if you read the newspapers, read them, you are misinformed. And I see this happening all along. And when I talk to our doctor clients, when I talk to our doctor friends, my doctor friends, they also talk about the same thing, that they keep telling their clients, their patients, that to be aware of this Google doctors, and they call it a cyberchondria, as you can see this. And so I think this is what happens, and there is enough data that we can talk about. Now there are some popular guys. Mind you, I have nothing against any one of them. I have nothing against any one of them. But then when you are a consumer of, see, they say that if something is free, then you are the product. And this is very true in social media right now. The information, the knowledge is free, then you are the product. If something is free, you are the product. And this is what happens. I mean, this handle said that buy and sell cryptos easily at 12% interest. Uh, this gentleman said how to build a strong crypto portfolio, automatic investment plan. I mean, look at this. This was so, I mean, the irony is it was compared like fixed deposits. And then I'm sure recently SEBI has actually cracked down on many of these handles about their return. I mean, the content that they dole out. What is automatic investment plan? I mean, all these guys supported a platform called Vault, interest in crypto, and look at this. I mean, Mr. Variku is extremely popular. He actually apologized for it afterwards, but the money was gone, right? And now this is what happened. The Vault platform was suspended. And look at this, is heartbreaking to see some of the comments on the Twitter that, please, sir, I'm a Tamilian. I have invested a lot of money in Vault. My life saving is in Vault. Please guide me. And I mean, this is really, really sad. So I think one has to, but then I would always say that buyer has to be beware. And we have to actually, if the knowledge is free, please understand there is some ulterior, there is something behind it. So not ulterior, but it's not coming free to you it's not free of cost. Yeah.
Right.
There is new trend in these days that people start posting screenshots of their SMS, and this handle posted a amount of 91,000 credited to her account because of TCS, right? And so somebody asked her, you can tell us how much money you lost. The reply was sitting on 2.1 crore profit. Now this tweet has been deleted now. This tweet is not there. But I'm just sharing this for your knowledge that I tried to look for this tweet. It's not there. Luckily, we had picked up this tweet somewhere in October. And then look at the conversation. When on a 2.1 crore profit for a 91,000 dividend, somebody calculated 91,000 dividend, assuming no TDS. That means you owe 91,000 divided by 50 when 1,800 shares. So to make a profit of 2.1 crore, your cost base needs to be 12,538. That's negative 12.5K per share. I would love to know how it is possible. So you have to be very, very careful of the free knowledge that you get in. So this actually brings me to the sixth or fifth lie. We'll talk about the fifth, one more lie in some time. So what should one do?
Yeah,
I think if you really want to get the knowledge, I think these are three books that can actually create a foundation of your investing knowledge. In fact, last Diwali, we were lucky that we could source some of Morgan Housel's books, which were autographed by him, and some books were we had sent out to our investors. I would definitely recommend you guys to read the one written by Mr. Parag Parekh, and it's a timeless classic. I think that can start your journey of investing, and then maybe you could get into value investing and other books at some point of time. The other thing, Ninad, is the social media, the TV channels have to create content very quickly. So the depth of knowledge, even if it is authentic, is not that. I mean, the knowledge that you will get is not very deep, but a book is written with lot of deliberation, lot of thinking. So you will always get a lot of deep insights through the books. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope everybody has made a note of this, and written down these books that we can ask, we can reach out to and get it. Sir, continuing with our discussion, somewhere down the line, na apne jo F&O ke bare mein starting ke slides mein bataya, the SEBI circular, the SEBI write-up, where they shared across that not many F&Os, people who trade personally, have got on to make money, which you showed with the data. लेकिन क्या होता है ना, बहुत बार we are all tempted to do that. We receive a lot of messages, we receive a lot of calls from these guys who promise us the sun, the moon, the stars, everything. कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे लगता है कि यार ट्राई करके देखने में क्या जाता है यार, एक बार ट्राई करके तो देखते हैं, पैसा बन गया तो बन गया, उसमें क्या होता है. Isn't that a sure shot or an easy way to create wealth? पैसा बन जाएगा अगर कुछ एक भी अगर लग गया तो. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, देखिए, एक तो दो तीन चीजें होती है इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में, that people, दो चीजें बहुत फैसिनेट करती है लोगों को. एक है बेरिश होना या मंदी में रहना, या क्या बोलते हैं उसको, being pessimistic is termed as intelligent or intellectual rather. Being having a pessimistic view is always considered as to be a intellectual. The other is predictions. People love predictions. अगर मैं आपको निनाद बोलो अभी, let's, instead of this we call a tarot reader or a astrologer to talk about investments or Indian markets, I'm sure we would have far more crowd on the webinar. We love to hear about what's going to happen. People ask us, kal kya hone wala hai? Kal, I when I do these TV shows, sometimes after discussing this, the next question in the end is, where do you see markets opening on Monday? Honestly speaking,
markets क्या लगता है?
I have no idea. I forget. Yeah, markets क्या लगता है? I remember when Buffett was here in India. It was a CNBC TV 18 anchor. We all know. I think Shirin Ban was in. Shirin Ban and somebody else was interviewing. And Buffett talked a lot about investing and all that. And then she said, given all these things, the current inflation rates, the situation of oil, where do you see the markets going in next 2-3 weeks? And Buffett said, look, I don't know, honestly. I read a book 60 years ago written by my guru on Benjamin Graham had written this book, and you should read that book. Nice to read. So this is what happened. This is what Lao Tse had said 6,000 years ago, that those who have knowledge don't predict, and those who predict do not have knowledge. And I'll give you some examples, and I can give countless examples, but let's look at this. And city on, you can see the date, Ninad. What's the date? You can see. Can you see the date? It's 5th July 2022. And this is around the crude oil crisis that they were saying, and they said that the crude oil will collapse to $65 due to recession. And then JP Morgan on 2nd July had said that because of Russian crisis, the crude oil could go to $380. अब मैंने अगर दोनों पे सोच के मेरा कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट कॉल लिया होता दोनों प्रेडिक्शंस में, either of way I would have been wrong. And look at what has happened. I mean, I'm not giving any company recommendation, but I'm just giving you a simple thought that the dollar right now, the oil is right now at about $100 or so. It's been hovering around $100. A company, which is an airline company, Indigo, has become profitable for the first time when the dollar has been $100. The crude has been $100. मतलब आप सोचिए कि none of these predictions would have come true. And something that we've always heard, that airlines is a very loss-making business, has turned out to be profitable. So I think it's best to ignore predictions. And there was a research paper that I had read that 6,582 calls were made between 68 pundits between 2005 to 2012. The average accuracy was 47%. But it's as good as flipping a coin, I mean, head or tails. So, but it's that simple. So I think it's better to ignore the predictions. Yeah.
But sir, don't you think so? It is safe to do what others are doing. It gives me the necessary comfort. If I know my friends are doing this, I know my neighbors are doing this, I know my acquaintances are doing this, shouldn't I go ahead and do it? वो comfort मिल जाता है ना, डर नहीं रहता. फिर क्या?
Yeah. एक कंफर्ट होता है कि अगर उसका लॉस हुआ तो मेरा लॉस हुआ तो उसका भी लॉस होने वाला है. But yeah, that is the comfort that you can get, and human beings are like that. See, in the primitive ages we wanted to be in a herd to be safe from predators. So हम लोगों को we have always felt comfortable in a crowd. Especially India तो है ही, मतलब just imagine अगर roads खाली हो तो we for a day or two we will like it, but after that we may not like it. So so look at this, I mean, let's look at this actually. uh, so popular, we have always felt that popular is equal to wealth, and this is what you are saying. So uh, this is Churchgate station. If you are traveling back home in the evening, and this is how it is. आप कहीं पे भी बीच में इस crowd में, for people who have joined outside Mumbai, if you have to come home by train, if at all, all you need to do is just stand in the center, and we have automatic machines where you will be able to enter the train automatically. People will ensure you enter the train, and it's so crowded. But given a choice, अगर मुझे choice है घर आने के लिए time choose करने का, तो this is what it is, right? Try and enter around this time where you can just travel in the afternoon easily. You don't have to really worry about getting into the crowd or anything of that sort. This is so you will always be comfortable if you don't go along with the crowd. And I remember in 2000, this is 2013 or so, and the other sign that you can actually identify कि कब कोई asset class में invest नहीं करना है ना, तो look at the hoardings, look at the advertising budgets of any company. If you see that a particular asset class, a particular industry is advertising out of their way, just avoid. And this is what happened in 2013. A lot of these jewelers were opening shops across the board, and I think this is the article in 2013 April, where people had started flocking jewelry shops. And after that, gold had a very softer regime where it didn't really do well. And so you have to actually avoid, sorry for this, avoid chasing hot stuff. And we had actually warned our investors last year in October, if I'm not mistaken, October 22, we had done a webinar where we had actually done that to avoid these hot stuff. And that was the time when we had a huge inflow of these IPOs coming over, and we've had these situations where people were we had a tough time actually telling people that don't invest in some of these IPOs. And obviously it was a little difficult to say no to these IPOs because everybody was investing during that time. And in fact, that webinar is available on the website also, and on our YouTube channel also, where we had categorically told people not to chase the IPOs as such. And in fact, as we speak, some of these IPOs have done terribly for our investors. So, and just to name a few, I mean, I don't know whether I should be naming these IPOs. Should I naming these IPOs? Friends, you can just chat in the chat box. Tell me that. But these are not recommendations. Neither am I going to talk about. I'm saying anything bad about. I'm not talking about anything about their quality of the business. I'm not commenting on it. I'm just commenting on the opportunity, the perceived opportunity that we had. And उस वक्त अगर हम लोग ये करते तो क्या होता? So I'll give you another example.
Sure.
During the time of one of our popular, very very popular leader had passed away in Mumbai. and the entire streets had deserted because people thought kal se band ho jayega, kal band hoga.
Mhm.
And I had to travel to Bandra for some work. I traveled in 12 minutes flat. I have never traveled that fast. And I'm after that during COVID. So when the perceived risk is high, the actual risk is very low. And the perceived risk is low, actual risk is always very high. So it's important. And जब perceived risk low होता है ना, तो everybody wants to invest. But actual risk investing में बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है. And I'll give you this example. We were talking about this. होता है तो nobody wants high होता है तो nobody wants to invest in these things, and that is the time you should actually make investments. So I hope I'm making sense for everyone on the chat. So look at these IPOs. See, most of the people have had this history of Infosys, HDFC, all these IPOs tells us that IPOs people can make money. We read those stories, but this is what has happened, and this is live data as of yesterday, that these are their issue prices and this is where the stocks are. I'm not commenting on the companies at all, but what I'm saying is there are two things. What is the growth you're going to get? What is the earnings you're going to get? And what is the price you're paying for it? And so we had a tough time telling investors to avoid these opportunities. Yeah. So I feel that when the perceived risk is high, you should actually do opposite. Perceived risk is high. When it is very popular, just avoid that investment option and try and be with the unpopular one. Yeah.
So honestly speaking, from the last 55 minutes we are having this discussion, and let me ask you a very, very practical question. Something that is a real pain point, 2 साल में आखिर रिटर्न्स नहीं बने हैं, उसका क्या है, ये सब ठीक है, हम लोग जो भी डिस्कशन अभी तक कर रहे हैं, इट्स ऑल फाइन, लेकिन अगर पैसा बनाना है तो आखिर में क्या करना चाहिए? 2 साल में तो रिटर्न्स नहीं बने, राइट? हाउ डू यू टेक दिस?
Yeah, Nina, I agree with you, and I'll give you one more story. And this, I knew that you will ask me this question. You were going to ask me this question somehow. Of course, we had a question by some of our investors also in the past. So
Yeah.
I'll just share my screen again. Yeah, is this visible, Nina?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So now look at this. There is a study in New York University which says that if you make, I mean, aapka mera health is dependent on what we have eaten the day we were conceived in the mother's womb, and that's about 2.5 years plus the number of days you spend in the womb. So about 1,000 days. So what you do in first 1,000 days decides your health of your entire lifetime. I think investing is also same. What you do in the first 1,000 days, and I'll go back and check Newton ne first 1,000 days mein kya kiya tha. We should definitely check now. But what you do in first 1,000 days decides how will your portfolio look like. And I'll give you another example. 2016, I met a friend, and they started a SIP about 6 lakhs, and they ramped it up to 9 lakhs. So they're investing 9 lakh rupees per month, sorry. And what happened was, after 2 years, I was called to meet them, and they said that, look, we had a lot of trust with you, faith with you. हमने तुझे देख के SIP करा, कभी हमने आज तक SIP वगैरह कुछ करा नहीं था, बिकॉज हमने KYC ओपन किया था, मतलब इट ऑल स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम देयर. सो हमने कभी इन्वेस्ट नहीं किया था, बट इट वाज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ यू दैट वी स्टार्टेड इन्वेस्टिंग. एंड लुक व्हाट हैव वी गॉट. We've given 3.31 crores. We've got 3.37 crores. The uncle said, the father of my friend said that यार हमने business में पैसा लगाया होता तो बहुत अच्छा बन जाता.
Correct.
And I'm sure this is what many of our investors are thinking right now. कि last 1.5 साल में the markets have not gone anywhere, and obviously their portfolio has not done may not have done for the new investors. So is the case with existing investors. The portfolio has really not moved the needle, and you tend to get frustrated because you think that यार real estate में लगाया होता Mumbai real estate to matlab has really rallied. By the way, we told our investors in previous calls also that Mumbai residential real estate would do well, and it has done well. Going forward, we don't think Mumbai real estate again has now become overpriced a bit. But again, मेरा मानना ये होता है कि real estate is only for your consumption. जहाँ पर आप रह रहे हो अच्छा प्राइस बुरा प्राइस नहीं होता है. But coming back to this, so 2 साल कोई रिटर्न नहीं बना नहीं रहा था. And obviously I had told them that look, you've waited so long, and as you can see Ninad on the there is a blue line जहाँ पर इन्होंने ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट किया था लास्ट में. Just before calling me, I mean, they had just recently invested some large money also, and the money has not given any returns. I said, look, if you don't need money, and we had anyways planned for their 60 plus retirement बच्चों के लिए किया था उनके, मतलब the kids were, my friends were like 35 or so. So if you don't need money, let's continue for some time and we'll see what happens. Luckily, this was October 2018, Ninad, the markets turned again. So they continued their investment. उसके बाद, and this is about 2 years or so, उसके बाद what happens? उसके बाद the mother of all crisis was lockdown. And you see they had given 4.31 crores on 6th April. I remember we did a call with them. I was part of that call. And obviously there was panic all around. Offices were shut, factories were shut, everything was shut. A lot of good business owners were continuing to pay the salaries. They said next 6 months मेरा business नहीं चलने वाला, मुझे कुछ पता नहीं है. I don't know how things are going to pan out. And this is what has happened. Investment is 5 crores, value is 4.31 crores. And they're really upset and frustrated. And then I again said that, look, if you don't need money, just hang on. And the only logic was, if you have invested in good companies, they will come back at some point of time. In fact, मैंने नीलेश शाह सर ने एक video किया था around February, and where I had said that humankind has always come over such problems. But the fact remains that 4.31 crore हो गया है यार, 5 crore का 4.5 हो गया after almost 4 years. It's extremely painful for any investor.
Correct.
Again, we said, let's continue for some more time. If you want to pause your SIPs, you can pause, but they did not pause, obviously, luckily. And as we speak, Nina, this is as of yesterday, 9.78 has become 13.79 after the fall. I mean, before the fall, it was 14 crores or so. So when you zoom in, you may get pain. But this is the time of pain, which, this pain, you can actually keep accumulating your investments if you don't need money. If you need money in the next 6 months, 1 year's time, obviously you have to exit. But I feel this is what this is the period of accumulation right now for our investors. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing across this particular graph. I mean, this has helped a lot. मतलब 2 साल में पैसे नहीं बना है, like what we need is patience, as I can see from.
Yeah. So this is what, Nina, this is what we tried to look at. These are the times when peak होने के बाद कितना time markets flat रहा है from the history. So this is since 79. The red line shows that the markets have remained flat for a long period. Let's say as you can see, in 79, say 84, 90 to 92, 95 to for a long time markets remained flat. 2007 peak, say it took almost 2012 the markets remained flat. So and again 2018 we had 17-18 we had this situation. Right now we are in this situation where the markets have remained flat for some time. Last 18 months markets have virtually delivered no returns, and these are actually periods. These periods are called time corrections.
Okay.
And this is the time you can actually make some more money. And we'll talk about the valuation, but let me just talk about the valuation. This chart, we can send it to you. This chart shows that are the markets overvalued or undervalued. So those are people ask me, is this 2007 crisis again? Because the banks are collapsing and all, and we can talk about it in a while. But these are the valuations. The valuations were very high in 2007. They were very high in 21 for a brief period of time. Look at the time in February 20, markets offered that, but that right now again markets have started entering the green zone. So yeah, Ninan, sorry.
Great. Thank you for sharing across this entire graph, especially the fact that you spoke about this 1000 days. That is something that I was not aware of. So that was an interesting part. Just taking a side step from our discussion to all the participants who are listening to me, what we are going to do, we have received a lot of questions on the market, the US economy, the current crash of Silicon Valley Bank, its impact on the Indian economy, what is going to happen in the US, is recession on its way? Lot of questions that keep coming. And what we are going to do is that we are going to arrange a session with a market expert soon. And before we do that, I just wanted to check with you how many of you would really like to attend that, So a humble request to my colleague Alvina to share across this poll. As I said before, this is an online session. यहाँ पे जो भी discussion होता है वो online इस तरीके से होता है. Chats is one of the way, question and answer, the Q&A box is the other way, and the polls are the third way of reaching out to you. So this is a question. A humble request, Alvina, if you could share the poll. Right, so this is the question which is there on your screen. A humble request to all of you to please take this poll. This will give us an insight before we reach out to the market expert. The whole idea is to address your queries that you keep reaching out to us with. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am moving on with our discussion. What we have done is that we have a lot of questions that we have received from our participants, especially at the time of registration. So what I am going to do is that I am going to take these questions one by one. अगर आपके mind में कोई भी question है, and you want Ms. Nikhil Naik to address that question, a humble request to put it in the Q&A box, right? If time permits, we have the time, I would ensure that I will take your question, right? So,
and also if not, we'll reach out to them and we'll take those questions offline also. Happy to answer these questions offline also if the time does not permit us.
Right. So let's move on to the questions. The very first question that I would like to take is from Mr. Mohan Joshi. Now, Mr. Mohan Joshi is asking the question, is SIP the only wealth creation option?
No, absolutely not. SIP cannot be the only wealth creation option. Like we discussed, investing is important. See, क्या होता है कि if let's say I'm working and I'm gonna work, I'm 45, I'll work for next 15 years. So I have some savings right now, which I should invest. And there are some future cash flows that I'm going to get. And I should continue to invest that. And that I think is extremely important. The other big thing that I think more, and it's a very good question that we miss is we don't increase our saving as per our expense, salaries or with time. We've had some investors who've been running, let's say, a 50,000 SIP for last 5 years, but the income has doubled. So that also is extremely important. So SIP is not the only way, but can be an important way of creating wealth.
Good. The next question, this is an interesting question, and this again goes back to the question which I had with you, कि sir 2 साल में return तो नहीं बना है. Right, and there is this gentleman, Mr. Abdul Zalil, who would like to ask a question. None of my investments come in the top 10. How would you like to address this?
Oh yeah, I think see, when we look at these funds, we don't really look at trying to get the top 10 in terms of returns. And in fact, there was a study by Value Research also on how top 5 funds have performed, and we'll probably share it with you sometime soon, that how top 5 funds or the star performers have done over a period of time. The our endeavor is always to remain in the top quartile or the good, uh, I mean, consistent performers. Our endeavor is to have consistent performers. We don't want a bar ke top 10 going down to the top bottom 10. And this happens, investment styles keep changing. So it's very difficult to chase the top funds all the time. All the time is what I'm saying. And we have very strong research process. Let me just, can I just run this research process with you, Ninan, right now? Is that,
Sure, sure. In
do
fact,
you
what would
think?
happen, that will be great, because the next question comes from Mr. Vishal Gautam, and he wants to know on what parameters should we judge a mutual fund aimed at long-term investing. So this
Okay.
this would automatically address that question
Sure.
also.
Sure. So let's see if we can share this. So investment process may, if you see selections may, so this is how we try and select a mutual fund. We have a strong team of, or rather a committee that we all meet on a monthly basis. And then Komal is the one who shared the IPO analysis with us right now. And Avinash take care of, give us the data and other insights. So it's just not one individual's whims and fancies that we try and look at. In fact, we have one investor who's also part of this committee for guiding us, or keeping a check on what we think is right or not, and giving us more investment ideas also. So this is how what we try and do. First, we look at the asset management company. Within the asset management company, we look at what is the assets that they're managing, whether how long the management has been there with them. Management consistency is important. It's also important in order to see how long this AMC has been in the existence. What is the top management? We also look at, are they serious about this business? So if I am not personally comfortable with doing business with a particular group, whether it is on integrity or uh, any other aspect, we just try and avoid those funds. The other thing that we try and look at is, then we go down to the fund managers. The first is, if the AMC ticks our box, then we go down to fund management. And then fund management, we try and look at what is the fund manager's total experience. How has he been moving in the industry? Does he change jobs often? Does he I mean, these are all small things which we don't see in the fact sheets, or which we don't get to see from the returns, is what we try and look at. What is the support team doing? Number of years, and maybe Vishal can actually take a leaf out of this and try and do this. What is the alpha created by the fund manager over the period of time? And then within this, we try and see, is he trying to move away from the objective of the scheme or not, just to get more returns. Off lately, it has become a little difficult. Then we try to look at the scheme categories, number of index funds. We try and avoid index funds, and try and avoid sector funds, because we feel that a professional manager should be able to add alpha to the investments. And we have enough data to prove that in the long run, actively managed funds in India have delivered far better returns. Then we try to look at the scheme stability. What is the inflow and outflow? Is the scheme losing money, getting more money or not? And then historic data. So this is where this is the last piece of that top 10 funds or not. Are they in amongst the top 10 funds or not? So investment selection is just not about highest return, because we have to ensure that the scheme has to deliver good returns over a period of next 3, 5, 10 years or so. So yeah.
The next question that comes in is from Ms. Neelam Srivastav, and she wants to know how to continue creating wealth even after leaving your job.
Yeah. Oh, so I think there is a real life case study that we have. Should I share that right now, or maybe we can? So I think, Ninad, what happens is, Neelam ma'am, after retirement, our active income stops. The active cash flow will stop. what we need to ensure is, many a times investors make a mistake of converting their entire investment corpus into annuity or monthly return funds or investment options that will keep giving them monthly returns. So that is where you miss out on creating wealth. What you need to do is take only that much money that you need, either by withdrawal or by way of interest from your investments. Balance money has to continue to multiply. See, many a times we ask the question, how much returns you will make? But the most pertinent question to ask is, how long the money is going to last? So just take only that much money that you don't need, you need from your monthly income. Rest has to be put into growth.
Moving on to the next question by Mr. Shrikant Devlekar. He wants to know how to generate monthly income through mutual funds.
So there are SWP options available, and my team can get in touch with you based on your monthly requirements. One can start doing systematic withdrawals. They're known as systematic withdrawals, and you can just try. Yeah.
Let me just quickly take certain questions here. Questions from Mr. Ajit Pendarkar here. Do you recommend PMS as an option to grow wealth?
Sorry, come again.
Mr. Ajit Pendarkar has asked this question. Do you recommend
PMS? Yeah. No, I think see, PMS and mutual funds are more or less similar vehicles to invest. हम लोग जब आपको PMS कोई recommend करते हैं, what we try and do is there are certain investment styles or certain stocks that a mutual fund does not invest, and that is when we try and invest into, try and give you those PMS products. Yeah.
Okay. The next question that I would like to take is from Mr. Adhish Talwalkar. He is asking a question: what is better, SIP in a mutual fund or insurance endowment? What is more secure?
Oh, secure. See, there are two things. Like we said, nothing is free. There's no free lunch. If we want to take security, obviously in endowment plans will be better. But मैं अगर 10 साल 15 साल का time horizon दूँ, see, we discussed about my PPF versus my SIP. Now SIP has delivered far better returns. PPF has delivered lower returns. Endowment will deliver even lower returns. So I would say, if you really want to be secure, buy a term cover and buy a PPF. I mean, start investing in PPF. If you want a better, higher returns, then take a term cover and invest in SIPs. Yeah.
Great. I would just like to take a last question before I hand it over to Sonali. There is a gentleman who's asking, being in my 20s, how can I start my investment? Can you just give a framework, for him?
I think we should call Amay for this. And I love his story of investing when he started his investments journey. I think that can actually give him a lot of insights. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually love to tell this story. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, you are.
I love to tell this story. So I started working at the age of 23, and it was a stipend. Basically, I was a management trainee. I started in that regard, and I started getting, and I would love to disclose this. I won't have any qualms disclosing. I started getting 4,800 rupees in my hand. 5,000 was my stipend, 200 rupees professional tax they used to deduct. So I used to get 4,800 rupees in my hand. And earlier, I mean, before started working, my parents used to pay me 2,500 or 3,000 rupees as a monthly pocket money. So simply for me, the pocket money had doubled, and I was like enjoying. 3-4 months passed by, 6 months passed by, and I was enjoying. Wow, like earlier I was getting 2,500, now it is 5,000, 4,800 rupees to be precise. So one of my boss that time, he called me and he asked me, so how much is your investment per month? And I was zapped. I said, like, what is this? I mean, what question is this? I have got extra money to spend, and now he's asking me how much you can invest. So I said, sir, and I told him the same story that, sir, the pocket money has increased. I'm enjoying. He at that time told me a very, very, very interesting point, that he said that, Amaya, today you are earning 5,000 rupees. In future, you might earn 50,000 rupees per month. If today you can't spare any money, then I'm 100% sure that when you will start earning 50,000, you definitely won't be able to spare a single rupee. That day, I started of course, that time it was possible for me to start a 500 rupees SIP, and it was possible. I immediately started 500 rupees as a SIP, and gradually I went on increasing it. Many of you have seen my other videos of traveling, and also you know how it helped me create wealth. So the gentleman who is asking, I would say that, whatever it is possible, have discipline, start off steadily. And SIP is the best way because it brings in discipline. It actually debits money from your account. You don't have any option. Try to keep it as early as possible. If your salary is coming on the last day of the month, please select date 1st or 5th, or whatever date you want to choose at the earliest. The earliest that money goes from your account, you are least likely to spend that money. And that way, you are there for the long-term wealth creation journey without fail. Over to you, Nana.
Thank you so much, Amay. Thank you for sharing this. This was a young girl in her 20s. She messaged me saying that I am a young girl in my 20s, not a him. I was referring to her as a him. So sorry, my apologies to you. Right. So thank you so much, Amay, for sharing across your thoughts. Nikhil sir, finally, at the end, before I hand it over to Sonali, if you can just give us a quick summarization of your thoughts on this. If one key takeaway is something that our participants would like to take.
Yeah. So we'll talk about 3 gods of investing actually, and we'll just share this. And this is what I think I have learned over a period of time with my interactions with my investors and some of the finest investors that I know. See, for us, Ninat, at Naik, there are 3 gods, and उनमें से 3 गॉड में से एक चेंज हो जाता है आपके लिए एज एन इन्वेस्टर एंड मेरे लिए as an distributor, as an advisor, whatever you call it as. Let me just share my screen. Is this screen visible? Yeah. So there are 3 gods of investing, Ninan. The first god is market. The second god is compounding. And the third god is emotions. We talked about it, but we'll just talk about it very quickly. The first is markets. And if I look back in see, when you invest into stock markets, you're essentially investing into good companies. And this is a last 22 years of data, 20 years of data of Indian companies. The red line talks about their earnings, and the blue line is how the index value has moved. Mota, the value moves in line with the price moves in line with the earnings that the companies have made. So the markets, like Buffett says, that markets are slaves of earnings. So जो earning होता है वो आपको price में दिखना, in the long run it shows up. In the short run, you see there have been variations, or there have been थोड़ा अलग हो जाता है रास्ता, लेकिन ultimately it remains the same. The second is compounding, and we spoke about compounding, how compounding can actually, Buffett has about 22% versus 66%, how compounding has helped Buffett. And those who understand it earn it, those who don't pay it. The third and the most is emotions, and I'll give you this is my personal thought, that to be successful in investments, you need the ignorance of a child and patience of an old man. And what do I mean by that? And I'll give you 2 stories. This is a child's portfolio. Obviously, the parent has started investing. The child does not know that. And I keep telling the parents that don't tell your child कि इतना पैसा बनाया है उसने करके. जब वो 20 साल का होगा, उसके बाद उसको बताना चालू कर दो. But he doesn't know what's happening to the markets. Even if I go back to the child and say that, look, your father has invested into stock market and the markets have gone up and down, probably that is the time he'll tell the father, "Bhai, kyun kar rahe ho mere investment?" So the father has been investing about a lakh of rupee SIP in the past. Now 84 lakhs has become 1.17 crores. So this is the ignorance that one needs to have away from. You just need to have that ignorance about market noise. Luckily, the child watches YouTube but does not watch all the influencers that we talked about. The other is a very fascinating story, and Amay coined this name as calls this as a God's portfolio. I remember meeting this gentleman in 2004-5, and he said, "Look, this is the money that I'm giving you. Don't come back to me for new money because I will not have new money coming in. But don't even do anything to this money. Ensure that you give this money back to my wife when I pass away." Now this is what the patience is. मतलब आप देखेंगे blue line is 2004-5, 40 lakhs given. अभी पैसा थोड़ा बहुत निकाला. When the gentleman passed away, we transferred the money. Today the value stands at 20 crores. And this is what I mean, that patience of an old man. And this is just fascinating. And we call this as God's portfolio in our organization. You also know about it. So this is what you need: ignorance of an old man, of a child, and patience of an old man. So ignore the noise. Of course, the times are very difficult right now. The news is quite fearful. Indian people say that Indian valuations are very high. US may get into recession, or rather, Europe is already in recession. So all those, there are a lot of bad news that we've heard in last 18 months or so, and it may continue to do so for some more time. But what I feel is, what happens, Ninad, is these are the times when you start accumulating your money, and this time can be painful. And I don't know how painful this can get. How long will this last? I really don't know. But I know one thing, Ninad, that I have seen these times, similar times, different problems. But I know one thing, and all of us resonate here in the organization, that it is the bull markets will create money, but bear markets create fortune for you. So, and I'm sure these times are very interesting times. We will do a lot more webinars on the US economy, the SVB bank collapse, and all of that. But I know one thing, that these are the times which can actually create fortune in times to come. I don't know today, tomorrow, 2 years hence, how long this phase is going to last. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikhil sir, for summing it up
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
beautifully. I hand it over to my colleague Sonali to take it forward from here. Over to you.
Yes.
Sonali, just one thing I want. Somebody commented that we should have these sessions on Saturday evening, or I think Mr. Ahuja said that. So can we just ask this as a poll, or people you can just chat in the box that what is the time preferable? Somebody, I think Mr. Ahuja said that these should not be on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or Saturday. What is the best time for all of you people to have these presentations? Sunday afternoon. Okay. Is it possible to create a poll, Sonali, right now, or people can just chat in the box also? Okay, Sunday afternoon.
So we actually cannot create a poll right now, but if all participants could
Yeah.
put up a text,
Okay.
we can take a note of that too.
Okay. Sunday. Yeah. Okay.
Through our
We
WhatsApp
can-
chat also.
Yeah. We can do a
Yes.
WhatsApp chat also. Yeah. Sunday. Okay. Sunday morning, same time. Okay. Great. Dr. Kulkarni has said Sunday morning, same time. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Sonali, over to you.
Okay. So firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Nikhil Nayak and Ninad Monkar for this wonderful session. I have to say, Nikhil sir, your presentation was really an eye-opener for me. Me being a Gen Z, I used to believe a lot of these lies, especially, the one where you said, don't get influenced by the influencers, social media influencers. No, no. I mean, of course, nothing against them, but they will not always be right, like you said. And I have been a victim here of these whatever advices they give. Anyway, moving on. Everybody, I would like to request, please post your Q&A in the questions in the question and answer box. And we have Mr. Ninad Monkar to moderate this session. So over to you, Ninad sir.
There is this request from Miss Valini Dilemma if we can just summarize the 7 lies. Possible?
Yeah, possible. In fact, this, as you know, when we were making this presentation, there are about 11, 12 lies that have been told, and there are countless lies that we get to hear. All of us have been told. But the first lie is always income is equal to wealth. I need a lot of money to earn or create wealth. The second lie is obviously saving is equal to wealth. The third is returns is equal to wealth. The fourth is you need knowledge you have to be very intelligent to make wealth. And Buffett says that if you have average IQ of 130, don't even bother, you'll actually make a lot of money. And a decent, stable mindset. This is what he says. The quote is, if you have an average IQ and a stable mindset, is all that you need for creating wealth. And then obviously information or knowledge is equal to wealth. And what is popular is equal to wealth. So maybe we will circulate one single slide of 7 lies with people. I hope you all liked the presentation. And Ninan.
As far as the discussion about having this session, whether it on Saturday or a Sunday or an afternoon, evening, there is a mix that I can see in the chat box. There are people who are saying Saturday morning. There are certain people who say afternoon, anytime in the evening works for me. So it's a mix. So probably we'll reach out to them separately and check with them what we can do is the best, so that we can get as many people as possible to attend this session. Many people are saying thank yous to you for this wonderful session, sir. So thank you for taking time out.
And thank you. Always a pleasure. Yeah. Some other questions that we want to take. We have my also, or we can actually reach out individually also. I mean, so there is Kunal asking about the fund manager, the finance minister's on
the debt update, debt fund update, sir. We can actually give them.
Amay, would you like to take this?
Yeah. So actually, I mean, it's in the newspaper front page today, actually, and yesterday through WhatsApp, it has been already circulated. So I'll just try to keep it as simple as possible. That first of all, let me tell you that any liquid funds or any short-term fund we used to keep, investor used to park this money, especially for a STP purpose. Recently, we have been taking clients' money for that. There is no impact on those funds. So please don't worry about it. Your liquid funds, your short-term funds, low duration funds, we don't have to worry. The money which we used to park for more than 3 years, that debt funds, long-term debt funds, earlier used to get an indexation benefit. Now, for all the funds that will start investing from 1st of April, this benefit will go. Their taxation will be at your slab rate. So whatever income tax bracket you come in, whether 10%, 20%, 30%, or some people into a surcharge also, will have to pay whatever gains they make, irrespective of whatever number of years they have been holding this debt fund. They will have to pay the tax as per their slab rate. That is the change. We will wait for a clarity. Give us a week's time, to come up with a proper statement. And, your individual growth managers also will tell you about it, that, how to go about it. To be very honest, this will not make a huge difference for our equity investors. So please don't worry about it. And again, I am specifying your liquid fund investors who are parking the money for 15 days, 20 days, 1 month, 2 months, there is no impact on that. Only those people who are investing this money for more than 3 years will have to now pay tax, and that too for all the new investment which they will make for post 1st April 2023. So just to give you an example, if somebody has made investment for long term, and recently we have been doing a target maturity funds, which are nothing but FMPs, fixed maturity fund, and you have invested in those funds before 31st of March, you will still get the benefit of indexation, and you will have to pay tax after indexation. We will explain you that. So give us a week's time. We will come up with a proper note also. And so that's more or less about what change has happened about it. Nicholas, you want to add anything?
I think Amay, you've covered fairly.
Okay. There is this question from Vaishali, and I keep it open to both of you. If you'd like to take it, Vaishali Kulkarni, who she's asking the question, how much time we should invest in one kind of SIP and switch to other mutual fund stroke SIP, something if you can help out.
Yeah, Amay.
Yeah, so see, again, like generally whatever SIPs we do are always the goal-based SIPs. So until and unless we don't see any massive change happening, and sometime back Nikhil sir showed that what is our fund selection criteria. Until and unless nothing changes in that fund, we will not advise you to change the scheme for the SIP. You can continue to do so. And changing an SIP will not attract any charges. So, it's simply just you have to stop the SIP and start it in a new fund. But we generally don't advise investors to change the SIP until and unless we are telling you to come out of this scheme if there is fundamentally something wrong with that fund. So you can continue as per your goal, and we will always tag the SIP to your goal.
Right. I would like to ask a question from Ms. Vanita Bharani. She's asking, please, can you explain mutual fund versus NPS difference? Can we invest in NPS and mutual funds simultaneously?
NPS and mutual fund difference.
Yeah, what is the difference between an NPS and a mutual fund? And can we invest in both of them simultaneously?
Yes, you can definitely do so. See, when you're talking about NPS, you're talking about a tier 1 account. Now, tier 1 account gives you a tax benefit. You get that tax benefit under 80CCD. So when you invest in ELSS scheme, which is a ATC scheme, you can invest 1,50,000. Whatever earnings you have, let's say for simplicity, you have a 10 lakh rupees earning annually. If you invest 1,50,000 in ATC scheme, I'm still not talking about NPS over here. In a normal ATC scheme, your income will be considered as 8,50,000 rupees. Once you invest into NPS, where again the annual limit is 50,000 rupees, you can take that additional 50,000 rebate from your income. And I would say that since NPS has inherent equity allocation, please go for it. It's one of the very good option. You should have NPS. I would suggest that those whose organizations are allowing it, it is the best thing. If your organization doesn't allow it, you can go it through a tier 1 account. You can definitely opt for them simultaneously, both.
There is this question from the 20-year-old. We don't have her name here. So she's asking a question. So she's starting off with her investments, and she wants to know, how should one balance or between investment and expense? If she could, if you can give her a ballpark percentage of amount that could be parked towards investment versus percentage that goes into an expense.
Nikhil sir, would you take that? Or 50, 30, 20?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just run the formula of.
Yeah. So generally we have this 50, 30, 20 rule. Basically what we say, and this is not for 20-year-old, by the way, this is a general rule. It's a thumb rule. I will come to a 20-year-old individual also. But generally what we say that 50% of your income goes into all your necessity expenses, which are mostly fixed in nature. The 30% expenses, the 20% expenses will go to your wants, which your future dreams and what you want to opt for in the future. The 30% should be allocated for retirement. Now, this is for a normal individual who has responsibilities. For a 20-year-old, I would say that, since as of now, your parents are taking care, and I'm hoping this, by the way, with Generation Z, I know that, they are independent and they want to take control of their life. But I'm just making a generic statement over here that in case if they want to start it, and if they can do this 30% allocation, if they can increase it to 50%, 60%, it will be fantastic, because the kind of early wealth creation that will happen for you by allocating additional amount at the beginning of your investing cycle, the wealth generation impact will be huge on them. So I would say that for them, they should keep 50% at least for their goals and their wants, minimum. Of course, I know income also initially will be lower. So yeah, this is the chart. Thank you, Nikhil sir. So 50 is for expenses, 20 for your wants, which is food, fashion, your lifestyle expenses, and 30 has to go for investment. And predominantly we talk about the retirement expenses, because retirement is one of the most important thing, which is the first goal, and for which we always say that you don't even get a loan also.
I would like to take a question from Miss Villini Dilemma. I'm so sorry if I'm not getting your name right. She's asking this: if I have excess funds, should I repay my home loan at 10% interest or invest in a mutual fund?
So it's a very tough question in these times. See, if your EMI is really hurting you right now, you should repay. If the EMI is, see, what has happened is with the rising interest rates, either some of the banks have increased the EMI or increased the tenure. So I think it's a very tough question right now to answer. But if it's really troubling you, you should definitely repay a part of your loan. If it's not troubling you, what you could do is ensure that your tenure remains the same. Start paying little more towards EMI right now is what I feel. But this also is a very, see, personal finance is very personal than just the numbers. So maybe our growth manager will get in touch with you, do a call with Amay, or somebody will do the number crunching and come back to you as to what you should really be doing. See, there is a value of EMI or the debt also. At the same time, there is a value of having a large cash flow in your portfolio also. So we have to balance the both, and probably they'll be able to answer you. Whoever the GM is will definitely get in touch with you and do the needful for this.
What type of loan it is also matters. If it is a home loan, then definitely we don't need to. It's a good loan because you get a tax rebate against it. So we'll just check, and as Nikhil sir said, that we have tools. Through that tools, we'll be able to give you a proper mathematical solution, plus a certain emotional part also in that, understanding your current situation.
Great. So I think so. It's almost touching 12:45, and I thank all the participants who have been here patiently listening to all of us. I hand it over to Sonali now, finally, to take this forward. Thank you, Amay. Thank you, Nikhil sir. I hope I was a good moderator to all of you and I asked tough questions.
We're used to it now.
It's more than 1 year. We are getting used to it.
Oh, it's an education loan. I think we should definitely connect and take it.
We'll definitely take it. I have met the client in this.
Over to you, Sonali. Thank you.
Okay. This brings us to the end of this webinar. I would like to thank Mr. Nikhil Nayak for taking time out and sharing his learning with us. Also, a shout out to Mr. Ninat Monkar for moderating this session. And also a thanks to Amay Godse. I would like to thank all participants for joining us over the weekend. We hope we were able to add value to you. Bye and take care. Also have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank
Enjoy.
you. Thank you, guys.